Perfect. All right, so welcome. If you don't know me, I know some of you here already, some of you, we've got some new faces. So if you don't know me, I'm Charlotte. Hello. Some people know me as Lottie, which is kind of from my old name, which was Lottie's Leap, but friends call me Lottie, so you can call me Lottie or Charlotte, whatever suits you best. I'm a psychic, medium, intuitive, channel, all of that kind of thing. You can call yourself whatever you want, right? I think sometimes we have all sorts of different titles for being a psychic or an intuitive, but whatever you feel comfortable with. So I have my business, obviously, where I help to guide people and teach people to begin to connect more to their intuitive gifts, opening their channel, learning to connect to different beings. I also help business owners to develop more of a sense of their spirituality. So that's what I do. So if it's the first time I've met you, hello, nice to meet you. And we'll begin. So if you want to grab a notebook, do, because it'll be good for you to take some notes. More so just to start to recognize your own kind of patterns and stuff like that, right? So everyone has their own unique way of connecting to spirit. Some people, you know, they need to be in a very grounded state. They have to do a lot before they begin to connect. Some people don't need to do that at all. Some people have their eyes closed the entire time. Some people don't. I don't. So some people also prefer to connect and receive messages by writing it down. Whereas some people like me, I have to speak it. If I try to receive messages and I try and write it down, it doesn't work for me. I can't seem to get it out. I have to speak it. So some people do speak when they connect, some people write it down. This is where it's really important to begin to trust yourself. And it's kind of like, I guess it's a bit like yin and yang or the circle almost. You trust yourself and you trust in spirit. And then when you trust in spirit, you trust in yourself more. It's kind of, it gives back. It goes in and out of the two of them. And it's really important that you allow yourself to open up to this kind of thing and to trust yourself. Because a lot of times what happens is people's ego gets in the way. It's the number one thing, right? The number one thing people say to me is like, what if I can't do it? What if I can't do it? Everybody can do it is what I can say to you. Everybody. It's purely just learning. It's purely just building that muscle in order to trust yourself, to receive the guidance, and just keep doing it, keep practicing. But everybody can do it. So if you say, I can't do it, or it's not possible for me, it's your ego. Your ego is trying to keep you in a safe space, and anything deemed different or change or trying something new, your ego is going to be like, no, this is not safe, and we're shutting this down. So it will say, you can't do this. And what happens sometimes when people start to connect, they're almost there. And then the ego comes in again and says, no, this is not happening. You're making this up. So then you start to get messages and your ego is like, you're making this up. And that's just, you have to have the awareness around that. And there's practices that you can do to just put your ego to one side. And you can just put that ego to one side and come back for the information from your ego later if you want it. If not, you don't have to. But the thing is, when you connect to your guides or spirit, is the information that you receive generally comes through in your voice, right? It comes through, if you're clairvoyant and you're hearing something, if you're hearing it, clairaudient, if you're hearing it, it generally comes through in your voice. So you're receiving that guidance in your own voice. So that's again why people say, wait a minute, I'm making this up, because it's my voice. But of course it's going to come through that way because you understand your own voice. So I always say this to people who do angels in your business with me, is that angels, just like all other guides, They talk to you in a way that you understand. There would be no point in them talking to you in some crazy voice because you probably freak out, or a different language, again, because you wouldn't understand it. So they're going to talk to you in a way that you understand. And the same if you're clairvoyant, they're going to appear visually in a way that you understand. So you don't need to second guess that. I've had clients in the past who have connected to angels, and the angels are famous people like David Bowie, Sean Connery, people like that, right? And of course your ego is like, oh my God, I'm totally making this up. But it's because they're appearing in a way that you understand. You understand that visual. You've seen that person before, you recognize it. So don't ever disregard anything. Anything is possible, and it's always unique to you. That's the most important thing. I've not seen two people who do this work the same. You know, some of you in here do this work professionally, and I've never seen people do it the same way. So you have to learn to really like trust your way and your gifts. That's what's super important, is start to understand the way you do things. So we're going to talk a little bit about your unique way and your energies in a moment. But what is channeling? You know, we've coined it, the word channeling, and channeling is essentially opening up the connection to spirit, or the connection to source, connection to angels, connection to your guides, to animal guides, to people who've passed over. That's basically channeling. You're opening up the connection. So you can change the word channel to connection, right? So channel is basically your avenue to connecting. That's all it is. So there's a lot of language, I guess, we use in the spiritual space that can be a little bit difficult to understand, or some people don't understand it, and it kind of can be a barrier for people trying to get more into this. So I'm all about like having this completely open for everybody. Everybody should be here in this space. So if you ever don't understand anything I say now, or if you're on Instagram and you're seeing stuff and you don't understand it, ask the question, because we're all here together to learn all of this, and we can all be connected. So that's essentially what channeling is. You're opening up this connection to source, spirit, angels, beings, whatever it may be. And to do that, you recognize energy. So everything is energy. You've seen this everywhere, right? Everybody says it, hashtag everything is energy. Everything is energy. When you start to understand energy, your own energy, your unique energy, and the energy around you, that's where it starts to get a lot easier to start to connect. Because essentially, when you open up your channel, you open up that connection, you're feeling different vibrations. And that's how you can start to decipher what is what. So what is this vibration I'm feeling? What is this vibration? And you can put it into its little compartments, you know, angels, animal guides, someone who's passed over. You start to get really kind of savvy onto what the vibration is and who it's connected to. And this is where the practice comes in. But the first thing you need to do is understand your energy. So what is your unique energy? What is the energy happening all around you at this time? And to do that, it depends on the person, but you can find your own way. So you could use, I really like to use textures. You know, I find that really great. Like, what's the texture of the energy that I'm feeling? If it's with somebody else, my own energy, or the energy around me, is it kind of soft? Does it feel quite hard? There is some beings that you connect to that are quite, their energy is quite dense, you know? So if you can start to recognize different softness, hardness, what is the texture? Is it light? You know, you could say, is it like really light and fluffy, or is it like heavy and dense? Because some energies feel like metal, and that sounds really bizarre. But when you start to recognize the different textures, you can also think of things like the colors. If you like to give things a color, what is this energy? Is it pink? Is it blue? Is it white? And also, you know, the range of that energy, where are you feeling it? Is it above you, behind you, to the left, to the right? Is it in you? Are you feeling it somewhere inside? Like, is it in your heart space? Is it in your belly? Is it all in your head? So every time you do some sort of connection, even if you're just going to the supermarket, just stop for a second and just tune in and feel, what is this energy right now? What am I feeling here in this space? What's going on around me? Am I feeling this in my body? How would I deem this energy? Would I give it a color? Could I give it a texture? Does it feel good? Does it not feel so good? All of that. That's what you really need to do. And it honestly, it takes, you know, a couple of seconds, literally a couple of seconds. But again, it's like another barrier for people to do this because they say they don't have time to practice, or it's too much to do. Honestly, the moment you start to work on this, the gates open. It literally happens really, really quickly. So you just need to start to tune in, because you are already connected. You're just opening up. That's all you're doing. So as soon as you start to recognize your energy, start to tune into the energy around you, practice with that. When you connect, then, which we'll talk about in a moment, when you connect, then you can start to tune in. You know, what is this energy? What is that energy? How would I deem that energy? What compartment could I put that in? And you start to collect information, essentially. You collect information and then you kind of save it. You don't need to write it down at the time when this is happening, you know, when you're tuning in. It's really interesting because we just remember. You just remember. It's almost like it gets programmed within you, that you recognize an energy and you're like, okay, that's angels. Because you start to put things together and you say, that's angels, and you just remember it. So next time you do it, you're like, this is angels. So don't worry too much about when you're connecting, am I going to remember this stuff? Yes, 100%. You don't have to worry about that. I've never seen anyone forget it. And in the sessions that I do one-to-one with people, I never tell them to take any notes or anything, because you don't need to. You'll remember. But the process and everything, you can start to, you know, write little notes for yourself. How did this work for me? Did it work better this way? And that's another great thing about finding your unique energy, because you'll find there's times, places, moments where you feel more connected or less connected. So maybe you find it really easy to connect at home, in a certain space, in a certain posture, when you're feeling a certain way, but then other times not so much. I've met a lot of people that find it very easy to connect next to water. You know, water is something that opens up the energy. So people, when they're beside water, they feel more connected. But also, yeah, this is what happened to me when I first started to offer channeled readings, you know, a couple of years ago. I had to sit in this particular place, and it had to be at a particular time, and it got so like rigid that I couldn't do anything outside of that. So eventually you need to kind of pry yourself away from that. The more confidence you get, the less you worry about that. But it is good to know, where do I feel most connected? What times of the day do I feel most connected? Also, food and drink. So I find if I've got a really full stomach, I can't really connect. I struggle to connect when I've got a full belly. So I know that eating a massive meal before doing a reading for someone is not a good idea. It's not a good idea for me. And coffee sometimes can make me so wired that I also can't connect. But it's also like just you finding your way. Like there is things that I would do that you would be like, no, this does not work for me. So really kind of tuning into the things that do work for you. Predominantly, I would say if you're really tired, it's not really a good idea to try and connect, because sometimes it does make you tired when you're channeling. So if you're already tired and then you push yourself to do this kind of work, especially when you're just kind of honing the skills, it can make you more tired. So just be wary of that. If you're exhausted, don't try and do it, just wait until you're a little bit, you've had an extra sleep or whatever. So that's all about you finding your unique energy. So start to practice with that, tuning into everything around you, tuning into how you feel at particular times of the day and at certain places in your house or whatever. How do you feel when you're with a certain person, because some people change our energy. So you could be out somewhere at work and then come back and try and do channel, or at the time see how everything works, just like tap into everything. That's the most important thing, to just have a go. So there is the thing as well, like about energy protection. So this is another thing that people always ask me as well. If I open up this channel, this connection, does that mean that ghosts are gonna like come through all the time? Or spirits are just gonna be hanging around my house all the time? Everybody asks me this question. No. The reason why that doesn't happen is because you are earthbound. You are here right now on this planet, and you have far more energy. You are more in charge than they are. So you have to set boundaries for yourself. So I don't get like ghosts coming through to me all the time. Sometimes I go through phases and I do get spirits hanging around my bedroom, but that's okay. I know it's something that I have let my boundaries slide a little bit. You've got to be very strong in your boundaries, because sometimes you will connect and you'll feel something that feels a bit off, and you need to be able to be like, no, I'm not interested in this. Bye-bye. So you have to be very strong in that. And also you can easily protect yourself when you're connecting. You just have to set the intention. You just set the intention that you're only going to receive guidance messages for the highest good. That's all. You're not going to take any negative. Just be very strong in that and in your boundaries. So you are in charge. And if you feel like something is weird, just close it down. Just be like, no, I'm not interested. They cannot come through if you're like, no, it's not possible. Also, if you've read the book Open Into Channel, I was talking about this on the live. It's by Dwayne Packer. It's really good. It's pretty old now, I think. I'm going to write his name here in the. He talks about how beings, they cannot lie. So if you get something that, a strange energy coming through, and you're like, oh, I mean, it's a little bit weird, but I'm not sure. You can ask them, are you from like the highest light? And they say no. They have to say no. They can't lie. So if they say no, then you say bye-bye. Katie's reading that book. It's such a great book. Such a great book. It's where I started channeling. It's a really great book. All of their books are really good. It's a couple of people that write them together. Some of their books is channeled information, like Creating Money. Most of that is channeled. It's really good. It's about money mindset. But yeah, check out their stuff. Their stuff is really good. So yes, you're in charge. So just like you would have boundaries with people in the real world, have boundaries with spirit. Because what happens also sometimes is that you get a cue. So you get a queue of spirits trying to come through and give you messages. And if you don't have boundaries, you'll open up and it'll just be like. So you also have to be very strong in the way that you talk to spirit. So not being, kind of sassy and like bitchy, not like that, but just be, if things are coming through too fast, tell them to slow down. If you don't understand something, ask them to repeat it. Or ask them to show you or tell you in a way that you understand. So they will do that. There is certain beings who come through. That book is Open Into Channel. I'll write it in here for you. Open Into Channel. There we go. Yes, if you don't understand the information they're sending you, talking too fast, or it's in some sort of weird language, you can ask them to tell me in a way that I understand, show me in a way that I understand, allow me to know in a way that I understand. It depends on your clair. You know, if you're clairaudient, you can ask them to tell you in a way that you understand. Tell them to slow down. Tell them to repeat it. Tell them to show you in a different way. There is certain beings that come through who are quite funny to connect to, and they do all sorts of strange things to try and give you a message, but a lot of times you don't understand it, so you have to ask them, please show me in a way that I understand. I don't understand this message. One of my clients had a Pleiadian jumping on a trampoline on a rebounder over and over and over again, and she was like, I don't get it. So you have to ask them and trust yourself. But generally there is obviously a message coming through, but you've got to look, sometimes you've got to look deeper and you've got to ask the questions. Because there is beings like the Pleiadians, when they come through, they're not so great at giving the information in a concise way. They try and show you things, but sometimes it doesn't really make sense. So you kind of have to ask them to break it down a little bit. So obviously you can connect to any type of being. We've got the whole cosmos to connect to. My favorites are the Pleiadians. I love them. Arcturians, I like to connect to as well. Angels, because I've been working with angels my entire life. Also passed over people. Sometimes I do that for people. If people wanted to connect to somebody, you can do that too. You can connect to animal guides. You can connect to whatever and whoever you want. You can connect to archetypes. So you can connect to any ascended masters, whoever it may be, you can connect to. And you can decide to connect by using an intention, or you can leave it open. At the beginning, you might want to leave it open so you can feel around and see what's going on there. But then later on, you want to get really focused and use an intention. Intentions are so important in this kind of work, because you'll find you'll waste energy without an intention. Especially if you go on to do this for people, you want to read for people. Generally, people who've worked with me doing Open Your Channel, at the beginning, they always say they don't want to read for people. And then they get to the end and they're like, okay, I think I really want to try and read for people, because it's pretty cool and it's a lot of fun. And the information that comes through is really transformational for people. So when you receive the information, sometimes it's deeper than what you first realize. And this is where you need to trust, because the information might come through and you'd be like, this kind of, I'm not really sure this is like making sense. And you're telling the person maybe, and you're not getting a reaction. It's okay. If it doesn't resonate in the moment, I promise you, they'll contact you a couple of days later and say, oh, remember that thing you said? Well, this happened. Always, it always goes that way. So really honor that and trust yourself. So using an intention, if you go on to read for other people, is really important, because maybe they've got a question they want to ask, or maybe they want to connect with a particular type of being, or maybe they want to connect over with a past loved one. I find some people don't want to do past loved ones at all, and that's okay. They just want to do other stuff. But having that intention, you're getting very focused, and you're kind of telling whoever you're connecting to that this is who I'm connected to. I want to connect to you right now. This is what I need to find out. So generally, just like before I started this Zoom call, I set an intention for everybody here. So it's important that you set an intention when you connect. What is your intention? Is it to receive particular guidance from a particular being? Is it to feel a particular way? Is it to gain an answer to a question? And do that when you're connecting. That's your intention. So you put that out there, you ask for information from the highest good, and then you set your intention. And you'll find just by doing that, it gets much easier. Because when you leave it very open all of the time, that's why people get confused, because they're kind of looking around what's happening. Oh, there's that and this and that. So if you get very focused and set your intention, you'll find it a lot easier. So the different beings, right? Like we said, I find that some people are very kind of connected to one particular type of being, and then some people really connect to another type of being. I really feel like it's some sort of, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why you're connected to a particular type of being. For example, me with angels, always been connected. It's just been something that I've done forever. And then I have particular beings that I'm connected to, like Pleiadians and Arcturians. Council of Light is another group of beings that I'm connected to. And you'll also find, depending on the time and the collective energy, it changes. So sometimes it gets very quiet, where you're like, there's nothing really happening right now. But sometimes you'll find, oh my God, they're really wanting to connect to me right now, and I should really see what they have to say. So you'll get an intuitive hit that something's going on and there's a message waiting for you. Generally, I feel it around my head. So I always feel it kind of cueing here, is what I call it, where I feel some sort of energy or pressure here behind my head on the right hand side. And I can be out for a walk and I'd be like, all right, there's something is trying to connect to me right now. So when I go home, I'm gonna like see what that is. So yeah, be aware of that as well. And if you do get a lot of things coming through, which is kind of the thing when you start to do this, at the beginning you get tons of stuff coming through, because it's almost like we said, you're opening up, right? So when you open up, I feel like they're all like, oh my God, she opened up, that there's another human. And they all come rushing through. So I see a lot of my clients, week 3, where they're suddenly like, oh my God, there's this and there's this and there's this. And that's why you have to be like, all right, slow down, this person first. I worked with someone and she had an entire queue of beings that went on for a long time. We finished the session. We had to be like, all right, we're gonna have to ask them to wait until next time, because she was like, all right, next person, next person, next person, because she'd been closed off for so long and she'd wanted to do this work for a long time. And I feel like there was so much for her to learn, that she just had this queue of beings waiting to talk to her. So yeah, expect the unexpected. That's the movie, isn't it? Yeah, just expect the unexpected and be open to anything. I've had insane stuff coming through, things that you would be like, this doesn't make any sense. I had a couple of things actually where I was doing readings for people and I was like, I cannot say this, like it's ridiculous. If I say this, I'm going to look like a total idiot. But you have to really trust. And I said the thing and they were like, oh my God, that's connected to blah, blah, blah. And nobody knows that. Like the surfboard. I was doing a reading for someone I've never met before. She was in Canada. And yeah, we were just talking. I was kind of reading some stuff for her. And then they kept showing me a surfboard. I was like, why are they showing me a surfboard? She like she lived in Toronto in Canada. So I was like, she's not going surfing right now, so you can try and figure it out. But I was like, surfboard, no, I can't say it, I can't say it, I can't say it. And then I just said, okay, so I'm getting a surfboard. And she was like, oh my God. So this morning I asked if I'm supposed to do this work. She was like, changing her career, show me a surfboard. That was the surfboard. And I was like, yay. So something that seems insane to you is actually like really important to somebody else. So don't disregard it, really honor that. And even if it feels like, oh my God, I really cannot say this, just trust yourself. Just trust yourself, because I've had all sorts of things like that come through. And when I've trusted it, it's been like, oh my God, yeah, that's my sign. That's what I've been waiting for. So it's really important to do that. So how do you begin the actual practice? Well, to begin the practice, you kind of need to get into a place where you feel centered at least. You know, it's good to do it kind of when even if you've meditated for a bit before, that's kind of a nice time to do it because you're relaxed, you feel centered, you're grounded. So you can do it then. Some people like to do it first thing in the morning, last thing at night. You're in that theta brainwave state then, so people feel a little bit more, lucid doing it at that time. But I would say making sure that you're rooted at least and you feel in some way centered. If you're kind of erratic and all over the place, it's hard to connect. So having some sort of practice where you can ground yourself, meditation, something like that. And then you can start to work with connecting. So you can start to work with, if you want to open your third eye. So when I teach this, I always teach it in a particular way. You open up, I'll show you now in a second, we'll do it together. So you open up your third eye and your crown, and we do it that way, and we set our intention. But as the time goes on and you're kind of playing around with this, adjust it. Do what feels right to you. Some people don't want to do the whole thing, third eye, crown, etc. They just want to open up. They just want to set their intention, protect their energy, open up. So it's important that you allow yourself to play around with that as well, because some things work for some people, some things don't. Some people don't resonate at all with third eye. They just use their crown chakra. So allow yourself to play around with that as well. And once you connect, then you just see what's going on there. What's going on here? What am I feeling? Have I got something coming through here or not? If you feel like there's nothing, don't freak out. Don't get frustrated if you feel like there's nothing. That's okay. Sometimes there isn't much going on. That's all right. Sometimes you'll find as well, that's where the ego comes in. Well, I can't hear, see, know, feel anything right now. So there's something wrong with me. Of course I can't do this. I'm making it up. That's where you need to be like, no, it's okay. It's okay. If nothing's coming through at that time, nothing's coming through at that time. You don't have to force it. I would also say when you're kind of learning and practicing, don't try and do it all the time because you'll get really tired if you try and do it all the time. Do it when you feel like, oh, I think I might go do this now. It feels like a good time for me to do this. Don't put it into a schedule and be like, I'm going to do this, put it in a timetable, things like that, because you get frustrated. And it's kind of like when I teach meditation, you need to feel like it's something you want to return to, like you like it. And when you turn it into a regimented routine, generally it's like, I have to do this thing again. So do it when you feel like you want to do it. Actually, in the book Opening to Channel, they tell you to do it every day at the beginning. But I found I did that. I got absolutely exhausted and more frustrated by doing it that way. So I would honor your own energy. Some people have more energy than others and they feel like they want to do it a lot. Some people don't want to do it very often because it takes their energy. So honor yourself in that respect. I'm a projector, emotional projector. I'm HSP, empath. Like I like to be in my own energy and space, and things take my energy very freely. I give my energy freely too. So for me, connecting every day is just not going to work for me. I'll just be exhausted. But you might be a manifesting generator in human design. You might have a ton of energy and you want to do it all the time. Go for it, go for it, but do respect your own energy. If you feel like it's getting too much, too tired, you're getting frustrated or pissed off because you feel like you're not getting stuff, don't keep forcing it, just take a break. You want to be able to enjoy it. That's the most important thing, something that you'll keep coming back to. So why don't we do a little practice? We'll do a little practice together. I'll guide you through a practice. and see what you've got going on there. We'll take a minute. When we come back, you can just write down some things if you feel like you've got something coming through. And then we'll do some questions if you have them. So get comfy wherever you are right now. If you're sitting, that's fine. It's always good to sit. I wouldn't really do it lying down. It's not like, you know, when a meditation, you can do meditation lying down. I wouldn't really channel when I'm lying down. So make sure you're nice and comfortable and you feel like you're in a space that feels safe, right? So if you're at home, perfect. No distractions, so make sure your phone is off and all of that type of thing. I also find music and things like that takes away from me connecting. I can't concentrate. So it's a little bit different with meditation. Obviously, you can have music going on. But closing our eyes and just first of all, making sure you're connecting to your breath. So taking a deep breath in and just watching that breath make its way down through your body into your belly. And then watching as it comes back out again. And just getting very connected to your breath. Where is it going? What is it doing? And that just allows your energy to kind of come into your body. And you start to become more grounded. And now you can just focus on your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. Just focus on that point being very heavy and connected to your chair or to the floor, feeling like it's deeply connected. Like if I pulled you right now, you wouldn't be able to move. You're stuck to the chair. And you can start to send a cord of light from your root, making its way all the way down through the floor, through the foundations of your home, all the way into the earth, down, 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 right to the center of the earth. And just imagine this cord is wrapping around the crystal in the center of the earth. So there's a huge crystal there in the center of the earth, and you watch this cord as it wraps around that crystal. And you might feel a tug, like you're plugged into earth, completely connected. And this is your anchor, your balance. So we take our energy upwards when we connect. So we want to create a balance here. We're rooted and connected to earth first. And you can start to then bring your focus into your third eye space. So between your eyebrows, you can imagine like it's a light starting to come in. It could be like a circle opening. It could be like an actual eye starting to blink open, whatever works for you. And just focus on that point and start to imagine light coming in through that third eye space into your mind, into your head, allowing that to open up. And our third eye is Ajna, is connected to the intuition. It's the all-seeing. So it gives us an extra element of connection. And then we start to focus on the crown chakra. So you begin to focus on the top of your head. Imagine like a door is opening or something sliding open. You can imagine like a funnel shape of light that starts to come through your crown chakra. And it's here where we want to really add that element of protection. You can say it in your mind. Protect yourself from negative energy. If you want, you can ask Archangel Michael to protect you from negative energy. Whatever works for you, and use it in the wording that works for you. And here we also set our intention. So part of your intention should be to receive energy guidance from the highest light, for the highest good of all who are involved. You only want to receive the best energy here. And if you have an intention right now, you have something you'd like to ask or see or know or feel, you can ask that here too. And as you go on later, when you practice alone, you can set an intention to connect to a particular being. So as you have that crown chakra open, you're protected, you've set an intention here. I want you to feel into any energy here and start to look around. What am I feeling? Is it around my body? Is it to the left, to the right, above me, below me? Can I get a color or a sense of something coming through? Do I feel it somewhere in my body? Just see what's going on there for you. Spending a bit of time here just exploring. And if you feel like the ego comes in and says, there's nothing, or you're not doing this, or you're making it up, you can just simply imagine your ego and just put it to one side, knowing that you can connect to it again later. Allow yourself to explore and just have fun. It doesn't have to have any meaning. Whatever your senses are, if you feel like you hear things more, or see things, or feel things, or know them, play around with that. What am I getting here? If you allow yourself, you'll receive a message. And if it's simply just the energy that you're tuning into, that's okay. Just having patience here. You feel like you're kind of getting something, but it seems far away. You can hone in on that. Ask it to come closer or be more clear. Just allowing yourself to continue to explore. If you have something, that's great. If not, don't worry. We'll start to come back now into ourselves. We'll take some notes in a moment. Before we do that, it's super important that you close down. So closing off your energy. So imagine now your crown chakra again. We're back there. And you can imagine that door closing or the light begins to dim. So in your mind, it starts to get darker. You can feel that closing off, like a door closing, coming back into your own body, your own space. And the same for your third eye. Imagine that starting to close. The light becomes dim. And you come back into your own energy, your own body. And you can set the intention here that you come back into your own energy. What I like to do is say, I'm closed for business. And I imagine a waterfall running right down in front of my face. Like a white electric waterfall, really fast in front of my face, just closing off the connection. And then coming back to your breath. Take in a couple of deep breaths. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. If you want to write down any notes, you can do that too. Even if it's nothing, you know, you can write, I didn't really feel that much, but maybe there was this one thing. Or if you've got a color or whatever it is. The most important thing with this is that you have patience with yourself. And when you do it in your own time, you know, you might spend 15 minutes like that, tuning in, seeing what's going on, feeling into it. You don't really have to have a time frame, you know, but you can use the same practice as what I gave you there until you get kind of really into it, into what it feels like for you, and you can start to change it, you know. Okay, I didn't really feel like I needed this, or I want to add this thing in, and just use your own practice because everybody's different. So that's how we connect. I always have this when I'm working with people, is that I get Horus comes through all the time. For me, if I'm working with a group of people, Horus is like an Egyptian god, and when he comes through, he doesn't really say that much, actually, but his presence is very kind of, when you first meet him, it's quite intimidating, so people are like, oh. But the thing is with Horus as well, he comes really close, so you have to ask him to step back or move away a little bit. So he always comes through when there's a group of people, so he's kind of hanging around for me, which is no surprises there. But just be like, every time you do it, just play around, allow it to be fun. Like, don't make it into something that's super serious, because that's when the ego comes in, you know, because you've turned it into something that it's not. And if you allow yourself just to play around with it, you know, what's the worst that could happen? You just have fun with it. You might get some really cool stuff coming through. You might find that you get so connected to one particular being that that becomes your thing. You might find that you really end up wanting to work with people and giving messages to other people in readings, you know. Some people are very connected to animals. Liz, you're very connected to animals. It always comes through in readings for you. So some people really connect to animal guides. So yeah, play around with it. I am going to press stop on the record. Should I press stop on the record or not? No, let's do, if you've got any questions, just unmute yourself. I was just thinking, should I do that? But I'll leave it, because if you've got a question, it's probably something that someone else wants to know as well. So feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions. And those people watching this on a recording, please like send me a message, email, ask me a question, whatever it may be. I'm happy to help. And if you are interested in Open Your Channel, the group program starts next week. It's 10 weeks. So we're going to go through a process of doing all of this. You're connecting to all the different beings, your higher self, angels, all the different cosmic beings. You start to really learn your skill and get very kind of honed in on that and confident in that. We've also got some guest experts who are going to be coming in and talking about how they do it. One is a past client of mine, and now she reads for other people. So it's going to be amazing. If you're interested, let me know. There's also a discount code if you do want to do it. It's masterclass, all one word. You get 10% off. So I think it's £129 you get off, something like that. So yeah, it was so good to see you. What's the author's name? Dwayne Packer. Did I put it up there? I did put it up there. You just scroll up in the chat. Let me put it again. So Dwayne Packer is the author there. Yeah, check out their books. Their books are really great, especially Creating Money. I've read it about 10 times. It's amazing. Amazing. So yeah, connect to that. Stay connected to me if you've got any questions afterwards and you're like, oh my God, I didn't ask that thing, but I really want to know. Or if you've got a question you didn't want to say it in front of everyone, just send me a DM. It was great to see you all. Thank you so much. A pleasure. And get going. Yeah, get connecting. Some of you are already doing it. Some of you are just beginning. So just play around with it. And as you go along, feel free to message me and let me know how you're getting on with it. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So it's a double author. The two of them do it together. Sanara, isn't it? Sanaya. Yes, they're a dual author. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. And I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, John.